Unit 5, quadratics in factored form. Our first assignment, 5.01, is patterns. We have done this before in previous units. So we're going to review this pattern, and then we'll start talking about quadratics. So instead of a vertex form, which vertex form would look like that, where our vertex can be found from those two numbers. This is our x value, this is our y value. Remember, we need to change the sign of our h because it's minus, and that gives us the point of our vertex, which is that guy in our quadratic. We are going to be working with different types of, still working with quadratics, just in a different form. And we'll get to that form later in the unit. So for now, we're going to be working on this one. Draw the next figure in the pattern. So let's look at step 1. Step 1, we have 1 square, 1 by 1. Step 2, we have a 2 by 2. However, we do have a box that is missing, but it is also up here. So what I see is we're subtracting 1 and adding 1. And then we have a 3 by 3, 2 by 2. And same thing. We are subtracting a box and relocating it. So we can assume that our fourth step, step 1 is a 1 by 1, step 2 is a 2 by 2. Oops, I was trying to struggle with that 2. And then a 3 by 3. So we're going to do a 4 by 4, but make sure we subtract 1 box and add 1 more on the outside. So let's complete the table. Step 1, we have 1 square. Step 2, we can count, we have 4. Then we have 9. And then in here we have 16. And let's create so what's happening here? We can see that first step we were in is 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared. And we are technically, by the images, subtracting 1 and adding 1. It's kind of hard to see in the first one. And of course, everything in the blue basically just cancels out, so we don't really need it. Step 10, well, 4 and 4, 3 and 3, so that means that step 10 will be 10 squared, which is 100. And that means step x is just simply x squared. Write an equation for the function. F of x is equal to x squared. And remember, f of x is just a fancy way of writing y. Okay, model A. Draw the next figure in the pattern. So let's identify, you can see over here we're going to be doing length and width, okay? Length is how tall our image is, and then width is our width. So I'm going to do length first. It is a 3 by 1, then a 4 by 2, and a 5 by 3. So I'm going to rewrite these numbers over here in the table real quick. 3 by 1, which equals 3. Then we have a 4 by 2, and that's 8. And a 5 by 3, which is 15. So we can see a pattern developing here. Counting up by 1. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So what's our next number going to be? Well, a 6 by 4, which should be 24. So let's draw that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is accurate. And over 4. And there's our step 4 box. Obviously, our grid is not to scale. So before we jump to step 10, let's try and create an equation down here for x. And how we're going to do that is we're going to look at step 1, just because 1 is the easier number to deal with. We go from 1 to 3. How much are we adding to get to 3? That is plus 2. So it's going to be x plus 2. And then let's do this next one in this bright green. So from 1, how do we get to 1? It's simply plus 0. So x plus 0. We can test this with any of these steps. So I'm going to go to 4. We put in 4, and for x, we get 4 plus 2 is 6, and then 4 plus 0 is 4, and this is exactly what we have there. So we did it correctly. So step 10, we put in 10 in for x, so 10 plus 2 is 12. I'm going to do this in a color. Let's go back to red. So 10 plus 2 is 12. 10 plus 0 is 10. And anytime we multiply by 10, it's easy. We just add a 0 to the other number. So it's 12 with that 0. That does not look good. And our equation is simply what we had already before on the bottom. F of x is equal to x plus 2. And x plus 0, or just simply x.